Thanks for joining us for Elko Live today. We have an exciting program filled with 50 years of memories and looking ahead to at least the next 50 years. With today's guest, we have the Executive Director of the Elko Convention and Visitors Authority. Welcome, Annette Kerr. It's great to sit across from you.
Thanks, Lori. I'm excited to be here and kind of go over some of the things that we're going through from the past to the present to the future.
Well, Annette has been doing a great job making the rounds with invitations in hand because this is a community celebration.
It is. It's been 50 years, if you can believe it. On April 18th of 1975, the Nevada State Legislature created the Elko Convention and Visitors Authority Act. And so there's a lot of dates associated with, when did we break ground, when did it officially open, et cetera. So I went back to the very beginning and looked at the legislature. And so it was originally known as the Elko City County Civic Auditorium Authority. And then they changed it to the Elko Convention and Visitors Authority Act. So April 18th, 1975, if you can believe it, back then. And it's amazing, though. Some of the photos that we're digging up and looking at, it was a vacant lot. We were known as the east side of Elko at that time. So we're having this celebration on Wednesday, though, the 16th, because there's so much going on at the convention center over the weekend. But we'd like to invite the public to come out at 5:30. From 5:30 to 7, we'll have some hors d'oeuvres and some beverages there. We'll have a couple of guest speakers kind of reminiscing a little bit. And the lobby's going to be full of pictures. So come out and look and see if you see your picture from, 50 years ago sitting there.
Oh, my gosh. Just what you said about this being the east side of town, the Elko Convention Center and Elko Conference Center now, which, we'll talk about the two of them, they are across from the radio station, Elko Broadcasting Company, which at the time was just KELK-AM. And Stu Ryder was here in the morning, Stu in the morning. He played baseball, softball, forgive me if I'm not sure, but whatever, it was like a fastball. They used to play ball over there, I guess, where there was a ball field over in that vicinity, because he talked about that.
There were ball fields. What the most interesting story we found from a gentleman that walks every morning with his dog and comes and says hi to us is that used to be a shooting range.
Ah, that makes sense.
There was a gun shooting range there, and because they thought they were on the outskirts of town. Mm-hmm. And so that was one of the stories that we were looking at and listening to, and but there was all kinds of a little bit of controversy, I guess, when it got first started and when they got started building. But it's just been wonderful. I've been spending the last couple of weeks going through the archives, 50 years, and looking through, and I'm like, I remember that. But I've only been here for 31 years. So digging back a little bit further and talking to some people in town is like, wow, that was me in the orchestra that was on the stage, or yes, I was in that play. So we do want the public to come out. It's an open house, and it's free, obviously, and just come and reminisce a little bit and talk with your neighbors. And unfortunately, there's some people that we wish could come that have no longer with us anymore, but come and remember them too.
Yeah, that is a perfect opportunity. There is a long list of people who made this possible, and I'm like Annette. You start looking back at history and you think about the shoulders you're standing on, and you just can't help but feel this enormous gratitude and responsibility.
Oh, definitely. So if you, some of the people that we'd like to, that we'll recognize down there at the reception is like Lorena Moran, Bill Nesbitt, Ruth Post, Bill Sheen, Betty Staley, Linda Trontel, Marianne Warner, and some of these names might sound familiar to you. Richard Bell, Manuel Birch, Danny Byington, Dexter Farrell, Shelley Hanna, Chuck Knight, and I hope I pronounced this right, Lopetegui.
Oh, Lopetegui.
Lopetegui,
yeah,
thank you.
Yes, Lopetegui, yes.
But, our first board was Charles Harper, and John Carpenter was who's the commissioner, Jay Kump, Dorothy Corda. So I had to do a lot of digging, but there's been a lot of people who've helped us throughout the 50 years, being on the boards, being on the committees, raising funds. And so we're going to do a little trivia contest too. We'll have some prizes there. So I don't know if you know that the street named Moran Way is after Lorena Moran, so is our theater. But what was that street called before that?
See, I don't know that, so we'll have to do a little digging.
There's some
Yes.
prizes available, not big
Cool.
prizes and stuff, but we'll even be talking about some of our other areas that we help market. Like the City of Wells was not originally named the City of Wells. So what was that
Interesting.
name?
Yeah.
And we have a lot of old photographs, so come and really, it would be interesting to see somebody come in and go, wow, that was me.
And look at my hairstyle.
50s or 30 years ago or
Yes.
stuff. I even found a picture of me from the late 1990s, early. So when I moved here, I was on one of the committees, and my staff was helping us, and they were just kind of like, wow, were you young? I'm like, well, thanks.
Isn't that funny? It's true. I mean, you came here with gaming in the early.
I did.
Yeah.
And then tourism, so it's kind of like
Yes,
full circle. I
exactly.
worked for the Red Line at the time as their marketing manager, and then became their CEO. So.
And then she managed this little airline known as Casino Express. A little experience in that too.
A little
so,
bit. But again, please, if you can stop by, just kind of, if you don't have to talk to anybody if you don't want to, or just come and look and kind of reminisce. It's on Wednesday, which is the 16th of April. So it's next Wednesday at 5:30 to 7.
Yeah, we really would love to see you to celebrate, again, 50 years, 5 decades of some life-changing events. Conventions, meetings, weddings, memorials, you name it, and to really launch, the next 50 years, Annette, because as we talked about, there's this responsibility to keep these cool and amazing things going.
There is. And when we were pulling out some of the photos, we saw a photo of Ricky Nelson, who was there on the grand opening night. He
I saw
performed.
Three Dog Night there.
Three Dog Night was there,
Yeah.
Wolfman Jack. And so we're looking at all these concerts and performances that they were doing. And so, of course, my mind was going, it's like, we got to get back to that. We got to get back to where we're back in the community and bringing these things back for the community to help out. And so that kind of ties in with our rebranding that we're doing. And so
Nice.
we've had some meetings. We've started that rebranding. And we will be launching that. I'm hoping here, we're working on the logo right now and new video footage. So you're going to see camera crews in town in May. They're going to be at some of the businesses. They'll be downtown. They'll be at some of our locations like Lamoille. They'll be out at the Trail Center, just kind of giving us a fresh look. 'Cause believe it or not, we were actually using some videos from the 1970s. So it's like, nah, I think we've changed a little bit since then. So we're moving forward. You've seen our new sign. It's called the E-Center. And that's kind of a preview of what we're going to be. And the E stands for the event center, the Elko Event Center, Everything Center, and because we're now almost the center of town. We're not downtown. We're not, we're not uptown. And we're almost the center of town, and we're basically right in the middle of the recreation with the ball fields and the park. And so I think it's a great opportunity, being neighbors to the fairgrounds, and so it's going to be great. You'll see a lot of things.
Oh, Annette, thank you for all the work, because you can only be successful, well, pretty much anywhere, but especially in our community, when you're a collaborator, and the ECVA has been known as a great collaborator. I mean, especially since you took over as executive director. There were some hard times there going through COVID. There was a financial, that was, it's just something to look back on now. We had let's just say there was a balloon payment and now you have overcome that. And so you have some great financial footing. And that came at, with your effort, Annette, in going before our city council and our county commissioners and explaining to them what a difference it could make.
And they did step up, and I have to say thank you to the city council, also the county commission. We did float a bond, but again, this is not any increase to our local taxpayers in any way. So it is being paid through room tax as well as our sales tax, et cetera. So there was no more increase for the citizens of Elko. We didn't want to see that happen, but we did have a huge $6 million balloon payment due in March of 2026. So this refinancing was able to eliminate that balloon payment, give us 10 more years to work on it. And I think that with the direction that we're going and the bookings that we're seeing, we're going to be okay.
Going to be more than okay. And then that way, this investment can go right back into this facility that we as the citizens take pride in and enjoy. And in fact, reflecting on some of the events, you've got 2 coming up just this weekend, and it's a good thing they're compatible.
Exactly. So just to go over a couple things that are coming up just in April, we have the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation Dinner on the 12th, which is this coming Saturday. We have the Lincoln Day dinner at the same time. So one's in one building and one's in the other. So if you'd like to, they have some great prizes and auctions and items. So maybe you could slip back and forth between the two. And then on the next weekend, on the 18th, Horizon Hospice always has their fundraiser called the Super Bowl, Soup, S-O-U-P, which is always well attended and definitely deserving. Those people do so much for us in the time of need. So if you haven't got your tickets for the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation or the Lincoln Day Dinner or the Super Bowl, get a hold of those organizations, because without them helping us out, they're a well worth opportunity to help participate.
It's a beautiful facility, and as Annette was saying, we have the Elko Convention Center with the theater, the exhibition rooms, of course, catering is done there, and then the nearby Elko Conference Center, which actually can accommodate different types of activities because you have some amazing technology there too.
Exactly. I think those are some of the largest screens I've ever seen, if they're not movie screens. And speaking of that, even our own stage now, the theater, we have a brand new screen, which is, how they used to say the silver screen, but it's capable of the 5G now, and so we've updated all of the stage lighting. We've just finished up with the house lighting, and hopefully next fiscal year we'll be getting new seating in there as well. And we've upgraded the sound system. We want to continue to upgrade the sound system even further.
That's fantastic. Talking with Annette Kerr, Elko Convention and Visitors Authority Director, of course, overseeing both the Convention Center and the Elko Conference Center. So those are some of the events coming up. Obviously, there are big ones too, like Home Show, Mining Expo. Things really start to ramp up. And these, this is important to the local economy.
It is. Even I was looking back, as I said, in the archives, and even back then, one of the arguments, or not really arguments, but one of the
there were concerns.
Opportunities was that
yeah.
What kind of economic impact would this have? And back then they were saying they were making, $100 coming in from an individual, had a huge times 3, would go through the system or the economy 3 times. So that was 50 years ago. So now this state is actually saying, no, it's more like 200 or higher if they're from out of town. So we do have a huge economic impact. And not just with the hotels, but with the restaurants, the stores, et cetera. So people buy gas, they buy food, they visit different areas. So we really want to continue our tourism here.
And that's why our ECVA is so well connected with the Elko Area Chamber, which is the official Elko Visitor Center, and our state entities, which are also working to enhance the diversity of Nevada in tourism.
They are, and I was just selected by the governor to be on the Nevada Commission on Tourism, so I'm one of the new commissioners for that. I represent the rural areas, especially at the northeast side, so we're going to see, I hope, a lot more financial grant opportunities for our communities out here in the Northeast and also in the rural areas. So I'm really excited to be a voice for them at the state level.
That's great, Annette. I was listening in, following along the Fair Board meeting last night. You were there in person, and so you heard about some of the amazing improvements they're looking at just in enhancing parimutuel horse racing. There's a lot of interest in the horse racing this year because in other places, the horse racing is not being accommodated. But here in Elko, we're getting new tote boards and all kinds of things.
Exactly. The Fair Board's doing a great job as far as with what the funds they have, they are really trying to make sure that they start upgrading everything. And we've offered to help in a sense that we've met with JJ to help her with marketing. And that's what we want to do. We want to help people. We have the connections. We can spend some money on the marketing side so that they have their funds to continue with their whatever it is that they may need, whether it be a saddle for a rodeo or they need help with racing or different things like that. So by offering our partnership and collaboration, we want to help the Balloon Festival, we want to help the fair, we want to help the Stampede. We're looking to help everyone get back in there as a collaborative. And even Billy and I have been talking with the Balloon Festival people to see what we could do to help them out, to bring that festival back and not just always everything in June or July, spread it out a little bit more.
Yeah, we're going to have a Sippin' Saturday, speaking of the Chamber, downtown this autumn, early autumn, that will encompass the balloon glow. So that'll be super cool.
They're gonna call it Bubbles and Balloons, and it's going to be champagne on that
nice.
That particular one. So that's in September. But like you said, May even has things going on. We have the Women in Business That's in actually April, the Women in Business, which is put on by the Elko Daily Free Press, honoring women in business. So if you'd like to get some tickets to go to that dinner and just honor some of our local women that have really done well in the business community. We also have the Special Education Conference on April 26th, or 25th and 26th. That's through the Elko County School District. And so it's a luncheon, and then they have all kinds of meetings and things that are going on. You can contact them as far as if you're interested in the special education portions of things. Of course, like I said, you said the home show. So mark your calendars, because everybody comes out for May 5th or May 10th and May 11th will be the home show again. And then our mining expo, which is in June, is off to a bang. We only have a few booths left for the park side. Everything else is already sold out.
That's for both buildings and grounds.
And the big tent. And so Mining Expo is moving really, really fast. So those of you that do participate in our golf tournament, watch for our golf info next week. It's going to be coming out next week, so a little teaser there, but keep your eye on the emails.
That sells out faster than a Taylor Swift concert.
And then, of course, we're also watching the state legislature, what would affect us as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and tomorrow's the drop-dead date for all that legislation. So, we were talking about we get all excited and worried and concerned and anxious and sometimes happy because we think, and then after tomorrow, we'll know more. Right.
Exactly.
It's going forward.
Exactly.
Yeah,
well,
so.
one of the bills that I am concerned about is the AB 81, which is the daylight savings time, or actually standard time. Because I know it's gone to a couple hearings. I don't think it's come out of committee yet, but I was just checking before I came over here. But if we go to standard time, and I think that's where the confusion is versus daylight savings time, I'm all for going to a one-time period, but I would rather it be the savings time because then we have more time in the afternoon. And so from a tourist perspective or recreation perspective, also kids' sports and things like that, if you're not in daylight savings time, you have that less of that time frame of the sun being up that you can do things, whether it's gardening or hiking or golf or, that will affect some things. So we're keeping an eye on that one. I'm excited about Mr. Gurr's, Assemblyman Gurr's bill about the pecan punch being the state drink. So
that's great for tourism for Elko, sure.
We can get that going as well. So also we're watching the AB 100, which has to do with our airlines and possibly getting some funding to help keep our airlines and our airport open.
Yeah, that's amazing. We heard great news during Tuesday's council meeting. I think you were there for that one too, Annette,
yes.
Because about getting that actual grant from the federal government, because so many things at the federal level had been in limbo, but we got the grant that's necessary for at least the next 2 years of subsidizing our service.
Exactly. Jim and Jan, Jim from the airport and Jan from the city, they wrote that grant and got it. It's an $800,000 grant. It's one thing to say, here you've been awarded, but until you have check in hand, so especially with our or things that are going on, at the federal level, et cetera. But the check came in, and so I sit on that FAN board, which is the Flight Alliance of Northeastern Nevada. So we're really excited, and also I want to mention that May 8th date is when we start midday flights. Mm-hmm. So you really want to take a look at that. And one of the little secrets, if you will, if you book 30 to 50 days out, it's a cheaper rate.
It really is. You have to go online. You have to start doing your homework. But, you will save because you start thinking about the gas, the time, the hotel, the meals, and you put a little extra into that ticket, and then you get a connecting flight.
Exactly. So, and starting May 8th, it's not every day of the week, but there are, I think it's 3 days a week that they're going to be flying, 3 or 4.
I think Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I think,
yeah. So there's 4 days.
Go online.
Yeah, go online. It does change once in a while, but again, if you want to save on those tickets, especially if you have a family of 4 or 5, even 2, or yourself, if you book, the further out you book, then the cheaper the ticket. Yep,
and that should really encourage you. Just start planning now for those family vacations. Yeah, very cool news. We're talking with Annette Kerr from the Elko Convention and Visitors Authority. She's Executive Director, celebrating 5 decades of the ECVA. It's just hard to believe with the party next week, April 16th. But then we also have so much to look forward to that we're talking about. All these special summer events and fun activities, including the PopCon. Now, there were
Yes.
so many people who didn't even know what a PopCon is, and now that some of their grandkids have dragged them to it, and now they're big fans too.
They are. It's been known around the country for different things, Comic-Con, PopCon, FanX in Salt Lake, because Comic-Con is actually trademarked. So we've went with PopCon for pop culture, and it's not a bunch of crazy people doing things. It's just fun things. We've even had some of our own county employees put on symposiums and discuss it. Curtis Moore talked about how to write a book and bring up different things. So I'd like to just share a little bit. That is going to be August 8th and 9th this year for PopCon. And we have a new feature that we're doing, and we're going to have a feature artist. And so if you are an artist, we would like you to submit. You can go online to exploreelko.com and then go to events and PopCon. And we've got several artists that have submitted their artwork, and we will feature one artist that will be chosen here shortly. But we've got quite a few already. We even have some out-of-state artists that have submitted artwork. So we're just trying to expand it a little bit and move forward. I'd like to talk a little bit about who's coming as far as the celebrities.
Please. There's some great names out there.
We do. We have Michael Welsh, who was one of the stars in Twilight. He played Michael or Mike that was, enthralled with the young lady that was there. And so he's from Twilight. We have Chris Hannery. He's a voice actor. He does anime cartoons. So he did the Valkyria Chronicles and the Fire Emblem. We have Olivia Hack. She's also a voice actor, but she does a lot of the Nickelodeon classics. She was in Avatar as Ty Lee at The Last Airbender, so she'll be there. And Hey Arnold, she's part of that. We have Julian Richards, who played Death in Supernatural. So we're starting to get even some really big names coming in, and so
I heard they like Elko because we're kind of low key.
They love Elko. They love it. When they get here, they're like, we're coming back, and so that's what we want to hear.
Because our fans are appreciative and respectful too.
They're just really delighted. They could not believe how friendly. And even if they weren't at PopCon, they'd go to the grocery store or go out to a restaurant. It was just friendly people from Elko, and so they love it. They love coming here. So want to make sure you get that. If you are an artist, come on in, but you can take a look at exploreelko.com. Also, all of the proceeds this year, because we always pick someone to send all the donations and things to, goes to the Ruby Mountain Resource Center this year.
Oh, wonderful.
So we're doing a little bit different. We've done school supplies, we've done canned goods, and so we are requesting a donation. You can still come for free, but the requested is maybe $5 a person or $20 per family, doesn't matter how many in. But if you can't afford that or you don't want to donate, it is a requested donation, because all those funds will go to the Family Resource Center to help them out. And so you can look online at we're also on Facebook, so just go Elko PopCon and on Instagram. So it's a huge thing. We've about 3,000-4,000 people come for this.
Yep, Elko PopCon. We are on the map. And again, the dates are?
August 8th and 9th this year.
Okay.
And of course, we'll have the standard costume contest, the cosplays. We'll have different symposiums and seminars, and where you get to talk to the artists or talk to the actors and find out, how did they get started in the business and what do they like about it. We'll have our Disney sing-along again. So we'll have the children's version of the costume contest and then the adults version again.
Super popular. Elko's PopCon. It's about popular culture. It could be anything that you kind of idolize, that you really are enthralled with, that your grandkids or kids. But we see families really enjoying this activity, as you mentioned. You have food trucks set up, so you can kind of spend the whole day.
You can spend the whole day. The vendors have everything from crocheted little animals to chocolates that somebody's made that. You can get costumes for Halloween. You can learn how to make costumes or make different, like we've had one time we had how to make a foam sword, so that, you can get some good ideas. But I think by expanding it out for artists as well, you can get a little more culture again from our area.
Thanks, Annette. What a great event, and it's only about going on 4 years old.
This will be our third one.
Okay.
Coming up, our
All
third
right.
one.
And thanks to the committees, because we do know that we have a lot of Elko volunteers, people who work really hard behind the scenes to make these things happen.
They do. We have a PopCon committee, and shout out to them as well, because they are great with ideas, and they're coming up from different things. We've also had the Elko haunted, commercial haunted house helping us out at times. And so we want to expand it out too. We want this to get out to the businesses and help them as well.
Yeah. So if you're a business owner and you want to find a way into Elko PopCon, I know some of the businesses last year invited folks to come in after hours in their costumes and celebrate and enjoy special deals and drinks and food. So yeah.
So another area we're working on is we're going to highlight our ghost towns throughout the community, not just here in Elko, but Elko County. So we've hired a gentleman to come out and do some filming on those ghost towns. We're going to be working with Jan Peterson to talk about some of the stories about ghost towns and what you can do and where you can go, driving distances. We're also working on it's a passport program where you can, and we'll get more out of this as we start moving into our rebranding, where people can go out and get stamps like you have a passport at different restaurants, and then there's prizes and things like that coming up too. So just to encourage people to shop local and to eat local and to help our businesses here in town.
Really nice. We do know the Elko Chamber, since merging with the DBA, is going to continue the ghost tours, because that was the big concern, right?
Yes, and we're going to help promote them.
Nice.
We've also been talking to the Nevada Cattlewomen's Association. I know they do a great cookbook, and so we're hoping that we can help them in getting their cookbook online so that people can get to that if they're looking for what do I do in Elko, and then there's a link for them. So we're hoping that, again, we want to be a collaborator and help our community.
That's the Elko Convention and Visitors Authority, collaborating with so many different entities and agencies, and whether it's Western Folklife Center downtown, just across the way in the corridor, it's Cowboy Arts and Gear Museum, California Trail Interpretive Center. I know Cheryl Miller is just over the moon about this year's Trail Days. They have Sagebrush Sam coming in from Discover Nevada. I'm sure you probably heard about her in your travels, and she's going to be a guest speaker both days of that in June.
Exactly. And as I said, just keep your eye out. We'll have some film crews here in May. So if you're interested in talking a little bit about our town, give us a call at the convention center. Or if you want more information, you can go to exploreelko.com or find us on Facebook or Instagram.
Yep, Facebook or Instagram. You've got all the socials. You got all going on. That's the exploreelko.com. That's the website. And of course, you can find all the details. I was just checking my text here. Sometimes some people text me during the show.
Sure.
It's like, oh, hey, they have some cool information to offer. But we don't want to leave anybody out, obviously. So if there's an event or an activity or something that connects to this, you can certainly go on to the Explore Elko website, because you have a community calendar there.
We do.
Oftentimes people inadvertently make the mistake of scheduling something on top of something else, and that's getting to be an issue in Elko now.
It is, and one of the things you need to realize too during mining expos, graduation is different now. It's earlier. And so because they're not in school on Fridays, we used to do children's tours on Fridays because they were in school at that time, or on Thursdays. But now that they're not there, so it's going to be different this year with the way graduations are falling and the way the school's looking at starting and stopping again also next year. So trying to work with that as well, try to work that out to make sure that there's hotel rooms available for everyone.
Yeah, so if you've got family coming in, make those reservations now. I think we're going to need every room we've got, but it's good to know that they're staggered out a little bit. So
one other thing I'd like to ask the public to start taking photos. We do our calendar every year, and so it's spring, things are starting to bloom. And so start taking those photos all year long, all season long, because at the end of, sometime in October, towards the end of October, we will be doing our photo contest again for our hard calendar, for those of us who are older and still like to have that calendar on the wall.
I love my calendar. I have it here. It's right here on my stack of papers, and I'm always referring, well, actually, all my friends and family, it's like, oh, here's Lori with the calendar again. So
they're great presents. They're free.
They really are. They're wonderful presents, and they're a great literal snapshot of what we love about Elko. You have so many great photos this year that there are several photos on each page, which
Yes.
is super cool. And it just really highlights what we love, what we really cherish about our community. So thanks for bringing it all together.
We're working on it, and I can't say enough about my team, though. From our facilities team to our marketing to our sales team, just the ladies in the office, they are phenomenal, Lori, and I couldn't do it without them.
Well, I'm sure they appreciate and respect you as well, because that's what great leaders do, is they inspire their staff. So thanks, Annette.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today. As we've been talking about Elko Convention and Visitors Authority, the big 50 years, the 50th anniversary celebration is next Wednesday, the 16th of April. It'll be from 5:30 to 7 there at the Convention Center. Bring your memories and come and make some new friends and find out what's in store for the next 50 years.
Thank you, Lori.
Thanks, Annette, and thank you, listeners.